the Gates of Hell, Turkmenistan. Not only is the existence of the Gates of Hell in Turkmenistan hard to believe, but the way it was formed is perhaps even more difficult to believe. If you had visited this place near the village of Devasa 50 years ago, it would have looked just like the surrounding Karakum Desert, with sand stretching out in every direction you look. In the 1970s, the country was part of the Soviet Union, and the authorities were on a campaign to identify all areas of natural resources that could be mined and used to support the growing population. In 1971, geologists arrived in the area and believed the ground below to contain a cavern that was full of oil. So they set up a test rig to drill down and take further measurements, but soon found there to be a large pocket of gas just beneath the surface. Now, there are no official Russian or Turkmen records of what happened next, but according to the sources close to operations at the time, the ground collapsed beneath the rig and swallowed the drill, as well as several top Soviet scientists. The remaining researchers were now faced with a problem. They could detect large quantities of methane being released from the hole they had just created, and believed this to be a possible health hazard. Their calculations suggested that the best way to deal with it was to burn the gas, and that it would run out within a few weeks. It was then decided to throw a grenade into the hole, and the Gates of Hell was born. Someone calculated it wrong, because since that day almost 50 years ago, the hole is continually burned. The crater is now approximately 230 feet across and 66 feet deep, and is filled with fires, boiling mud, and ferocious orange flames. Plans have often been drafted to try and extinguish it for good, especially considering it sat above one of the largest natural gas deposits that are anywhere on Earth. But such is the scale of the problem that no one yet has found an adequate solution. Now it's one of the most popular tourist sites in the country and has become an area of biological research because of the organisms that have been found to be living in the center of the crater. It may perhaps burn out one day like the scientists in the 1970s thought it would, but based on current progress, it could be several more decades before it even seems to begin slowing down. But its geographical features are equally impressive. The stone forest, which is within the Singi Deba Maraha National Park, began life hundreds of millions of years ago as a lagoon. Limestone deposits formed on the bed and, due to tectonic activity, were lifted above the water's surface. As the lagoon receded, more limestone was revealed, and it was worn away by the monsoon rains over the following millennia. This, combined with groundwater erosion that formed caves that subsequently collapsed, has left a series of towers with canyons between them, which has resulted in the largest such formation in the world. Its name means where one cannot walk barefoot, and that's an apt warning. These pillars, some of which are up to 2,600 feet high, are sharp enough to easily cut through flesh or equipment, so have to be traversed with the utmost of care. Underwater waterfall, Mauritius. Mauritius is known for its idyllic beaches and crystal clear sea, but there's an unbelievable phenomenon at the southwest corner of the island that appears to be an underwater waterfall. Despite how it looks, this isn't actually a flowing region of water, but instead an optical illusion that happens because of the seafloor structure. The island sits on an ocean shelf which is no more than 500 feet deep. At the edge of the shelf, however, it soon plunges down to depths of almost 2.5 miles. And what you're actually seeing in the underwater waterfall is not water falling down into the abyss, but particles of sand that are being pushed over by the current. 8. The Crooked Forest, Poland. Deep within a forest near the town of Grafino in Poland is a phenomenon that has confused researchers and visitors alike ever since it was first discovered. Called the Crooked Forest, there are an estimated 400 pine trees that have for some reason grown very differently to normal. It's thought that they were planted during the 1930s when the region was a part of Germany, and after emerging from the ground like usual, they bent towards the north for several feet before growing upwards again. It's not known why this has happened and why it's something that only these 400 trees have done, but there's a couple of theories. The first is that it's the result of human design, perhaps because of a tool that was used when they were first planted, or the alternative suggestion is that they were all subject to a freak weather event, such as a snowstorm while they were young in their development. No records exist to support either theory, however, so it's quite possible we'll never know for certain. The Caño Cristales is a small tributary river that feeds into the Guayabero River of Colombia, but due to its unique plant life, it's also commonly referred to as the most beautiful river in the world. The fast-flowing water passes through a region that's on the edge of the Amazon rainforest, the Andes, and the eastern Llanos, and is almost perfectly clear. The riverbed has numerous holes and dips in it because of the way the rocks caught in the current erode the bedrock, and this has produced the ideal locations for a species of plant called Macarenia clavigera to grow. During the summer months, it takes on a gloriously red hue and also provides shelter for other species to grow that adds yellows, greens, blues, and blacks into the mix. It's no wonder that this place is also affectionately known as the Liquid Rainbow, and is so unusual that many visitors still can't believe that it's real, even when they're standing right next to it. Glowworm Cave, New Zealand. New Zealand is one of the most scenic countries in the world, but beyond the peaks of the mountain ranges, the deep valleys, and the glaciers are a series of caves that seem to have come straight from a fairy tale. The reason for this is because they're home to glowworms, which are the larval forms of a species of fungus gnat that are endemic to the country. Known locally as titiwai, which means projected over water, the bioluminescence that's produced in the insect's abdomens is designed to attract prey, and happens as a result of a chemical reaction between a luciferase enzyme and a molecule of luciferin. It creates one of the most stunning sights that you can see in the natural world, and makes for a magical boat ride through the cavern when thousands of the glowworms are active.